Hi, this is Brass Check, and I'm going to be reading from a book called Honest Medicine by Julia Shopik. And I heard about this book from Arlene Martell, the author of Getting Adam Back. And before I read from the book, I want to tell you Arlene's story. Her son, Adam, had a very, very severe case of epilepsy. We're talking dozens of seizures a day. And she went to the doctors, and they did the usual thing and gave her all kinds of ineffective and dangerous medications, none of which worked. And through incredibly diligent research, she uncovered that the Mayo Clinic in the 1920s had actually developed a protocol for curing this form of epilepsy that involved diet. It's the ketogenic diet, believe it or not. And Adam instantly went from multiple seizures a day to one or two minor seizures a week. Unfortunately, many years had passed, and because of the number and severity of the seizures and the length of time, he developed brain damage. He could have been saved. Now the doctor, I mean, I'm laughing, but it's no laughing matter about this. The doctor that she went to knew about this cure, didn't tell her, and when asked about it, said, "Well, I didn't think you'd follow it. It's too hard." So that's what we're dealing with. If you want to know why I'm outraged, these are some of the reasons I'm outraged. But anyway, this is a book that Arlene recommended to me, and I recommend it to you because it's an excellent book. And the foreword to this book is written by a guy named Jim Abrahams, and I'm going to read the foreword because the foreword expresses something that I've been trying to say inarticulately for a long time, and he does it so well. He saves me the great effort of having to articulate it myself. So the book again is Honest Medicine, and this is the foreword by Jim Abrahams. More often than not, when we get really sick, we go to the doctor. When we go to the doctor, we get better and life goes on. But sooner or later, that's not going to work for any of us. My observation is that when it doesn't work, when the doctor doesn't help us get better, we all go through a similar range of emotions. They frequently begin with fear and denial. They can continue through anger, guilt, sadness, distrust, frustration, desperation, any of a number of others. It's human nature. But somewhere along the line, before we decide to throw in the towel, we realize that these feelings are kind of emotional wheel spinning, and the instinct to fight back kicks in. Nothing necessarily intellectual about the fight. It's a bare-knuckle, no-holds-barred, survival instinct kind of fight. It's a battle we don't know whether we can win. Despite the uncertainties of undertaking this battle, I believe that the quicker any of us can get from that initial onset of fear to the raw instinct to fight, the better our chances of winning. There's a learning curve involved. It can take weeks, months, even years. But I also believe that the sooner we make it through that curve, the steeper the slope of the curve, then the sooner we take off the gloves, and the better our chance for good health. The more rapidly we figure out that even the best doctor can be wrong, the faster we realize the uncanny relationship between prescribed treatments and their financial rewards. The quicker we understand the frailties of our health system, the sooner we begin to trust our instincts and insist on hard answers. The quicker we learn to take over the reins of our medical destinies, the better off we are. I'm just going to read that one more time because it's pretty profound. The more rapidly we figure out that even the best doctor can be wrong, the faster we realize the uncanny relationship between prescribed treatments and their financial rewards, the quicker we understand the other frailties of our healthcare system, the sooner we begin to trust our instincts and insist on hard answers, the quicker we learn to take over the reins of our medical destinies, the better off we are. I'm going to go on a little sidebar here. You're going to continuously hear various people say, don't go to the internet to learn anything about health. Yeah, I agree. There's some misleading and frightening and unhelpful information on the internet. But you know what? That exists in every medium. And the idea of telling people not to do their own research and get their own education is absolute lunacy. Yeah, you have to be discriminating, clearly. But if someone tells you not to inquire, there's something really wrong with them. Anyway, let's get back to the book. 8 years ago, I was diagnosed with acute myelogenous leukemia, AML. The first oncologist I saw told me I had a 50% chance of surviving for 2 years. I didn't like the guy, and not just for what he was saying. His answers were clipped. His information was abbreviated. His decisions were unilateral. He made me feel like he had more important things to do than to explain how and why I was going to die and what he was going to do about it. Incidentally, I later found out the treatment he was suggesting would most certainly have killed me. Wow. But I was lucky. Even at the time, it all felt very familiar to me. I was sensitive to his attitude. My antennae were tuned in. You see, I had been through the learning curve. 10 years later, when my son Charlie started having epilepsy, we encountered a similar stone wall. Eventually, after months of a far too slow learning curve, Charlie's epilepsy was cured by the ketogenic diet. This is just like Arlene's story. It turned out that the learning curve my family experienced when Charlie was sick saved my life as well as his. Because of his experience, we got there much quicker, within days, the second time, and with far less collateral damage. Quite simply, I knew immediately to trust my instincts, put the gloves on, and fight. I fired the doctor and found another who was willing to be a partner in an informed, joint decision-making process. The new doctor explained my condition and the options. He listened. He consulted his colleagues. He answered my questions. He gave me reading material. We picked a treatment. And here I am. Now, a little sidebar. It is not going to be easy to find a doctor like that. And all I can say is we're all here because our ancestors fought and didn't give up. If they fought and gave up, we wouldn't be here. So every generation's got to face real dangers, and one of our real dangers is the mediocre, incompetent, money-grubbing medical profession. There are exceptions. They are not easy to find, and unfortunately no one's going to find them for you, but they are out there. And I think Mr. Abrahams gives you a good sense of the kind of doctor to look for. Okay, continuing on. I think that helping us compress the learning curve is one of the many goals Julia Shopik achieves in her most thorough, informative, and inspirational book, Honest Medicine. By meticulously chronicling the histories of low-dose naltrexone, alpha-lipoic acid, and the ketogenic diet, and Silveron, Julia shares with us not only that there are proven treatments out there that our physicians may not tell us about, but equally important, how we can take personal control of our medical destinies. Now, this is a book, that talks about, specific treatment protocols and so on. But, the real key to this book is the attitude that I recommend people take when they get bad medical news. I see some people just fold. I see some people just hand it over to the doctors, and I see other people fight, and the fighters have a chance. And it is tremendous work. It's a full-time job. It is more than a full-time job. It is often swimming upstream, and you're often doing it alone. And it's hard, right? But anyway, let's continue. At the beginning of her book, Julia talks about what those of us who have shared our stories in the book have in common. I would add one other element. We all wish we had learned our lessons earlier. Amen to that, brother. We all wish we had compressed the learning curve. We all wish we had had the courage to embrace patient empowerment sooner. Well, I was pretty fast, but I just had trouble finding a competent doctor. Still haven't found one, by the way. The facts that we didn't wait forever remain among the battle scars of our lives. Oh, no, the fact that we didn't do it sooner will forever remain among the battle scars of our lives. The whole system is geared to make you passive and have you go along. And the sooner you can get into active mode, the better. So here's hoping that, back to Mr. Abrahams, so here's hoping that you will take these valuable lessons from Honest Medicine. Here's wishing longer, healthier, more self-reliant lives for all of us, and here's hoping that somewhere Tim Fisher, who the book was written for, Julia's husband, is smiling down on his wife's valiant efforts to bring a further meaning to his life. He died unnecessarily because of ignorant, lazy, potentially corrupt physicians who didn't even bother to use the correct treatment on him. The book, again, is called Honest Medicine, and I think it's a great place to start if you are finding yourself or have a loved one in a position where you're getting the medical runaround. Julia Shopik, and she has a really interesting background. She has doctors in her family. Her dad was highly critical of the medical system and of his fellow doctors, and had some pretty salty things to say about both. So, we're all going to die. It's just a matter of when and what the last years will be like, and we have some control over those things. But my opinion is it is not something that can be left up 100% to doctors. So enjoy the book. I hope you get it. It looks like one of the best things you could do if you have a health problem.